Welcome back, Heartland fans. Season 18, Episode 9 has finally aired, and what an episode it was. From emotional twists to exciting developments, there's so much to unpack. In this video, we'll dive into all the key moments, analyze the biggest surprises, and explore what it means for our favorite characters moving forward. Let's break it all down together. In order to find a solution, Jack and Tim convinced Nathan to join them on a fishing excursion in this episode. Jack and Tim felt that patching things up with Nathan was crucial for Heartland's future, even if Lou felt that the trip was a waste of time that would have been better used for their business. They were therefore prepared to do every effort to ensure that the trip took place. Because of his father's terrible day and refusal to take his medication right before their scheduled departure, Nathan was initially hesitant to join the expedition. But Jack was adamant that Nathan and his father could benefit from the excursion, so the three of them climbed into Jack's pickup and drove away. The journey began uneventfully when they reached the riverbed. Nathan offered to share his snacks after Jack and Tim realized they had left their lunch cooler behind. But before long, the men were fishing joyfully in the river knee-deep. Jack started the discussion, which soon shifted to Nathan's difficulties. Surprisingly, it wasn't as awkward as you might think, since Nathan opened up about the toll his father's Alzheimer's was taking on him when Tim revealed that his mother had fought dementia before she passed away, fostering understanding between the two men. Nathan acknowledged that he has had times of irritation and even remorse. He also revealed that he is thinking of placing his father in a care facility, a decision that greatly troubled him because he was afraid it might hasten his father's decline. However, Nathan realized how much he needed this fishing trip as a respite from the weight of his father's illness after Jack reassured him that his feelings did not make him a terrible son. Jack then went on to discuss a potential reconciliation between the two families after stating that the river is an excellent place to make amends. Although Nathan was willing to make amends, he acknowledged that given their complex circumstances, he wasn't really sure how to do so. Therefore, Tim and Jack offered a solution. They recommended that instead of competing over exclusive offers, they should work together and recommend to Crown Shopper that both Heartland beef and Price beef products be available in the stores so that customers can choose the one they like best. Nathan's hesitation was understandable given that Crown shoppers appeared to like the exclusivity that their advertisements conveyed. However, Jack's logic made sense. He was certain that putting up a united front would compel Crown to transport the goods of both families. Nathan consented to try the idea, and with Tim catching the first fish of the day, their chat came to a satisfying conclusion. The three men had developed a newfound respect for one another by the time they got back to Nathan's property, and Nathan even expressed regret for intensifying their conflict. In response, Jack promised to talk to Lou about bringing up their idea of placing Heartland beef and Price beef on the same shelf with Crown. As it turned out, the fishing trip was about more than just patching up differences. It was about repairing past hurts and creating new ones, laying the groundwork for a more cordial and harmonious future for both families. Heartland and Price beef finally agreeing on something makes me very happy. It is hoped that this tranquility will endure and that Crown shoppers would recognize the advantages of carrying both of their products. Speaking of Jack and Tim, this episode also included a small resolution to the plot, which involved Jack's dissatisfaction with Tim's new position as a rodeo commentator. Tim had wanted to discuss his huge opportunity with Jack during a fishing excursion. Tim was unable to engage with Jack, though, as the vacation swiftly turned into a means of patching things up with Nathan. Jack finally revealed the whole reason he was upset about Tim's new job when they pulled over on the side of the road after dropping Nathan off at his ranch and promising to speak with Lou about contacting Crown about their plan. Jack disclosed that he wasn't hesitant about Tim's new position because he had any concerns about Tim's abilities or the significance of the opportunity. Rather, it was the other way around. Jack was certain that the network would want Tim on a long-term basis once they saw his potential. Since Tim would eventually be spending more time in Dallas than at the ranch, he understood that even if he planned to travel back and forth to Dallas and still assist at the ranch, it probably wouldn't last long. And Jack understood that when Tim left for his new job, it would mark the end of an era for them because no hired hand could compare to Tim. It was an unusual display of openness from Jack, who usually concealed his feelings beneath sardonic sagacity. However, Tim assured Jack that he would also miss Jack and accepted Jack's appreciation for what it was. It was evident that although Tim had already agreed to the job, he was no longer entirely certain that it was the appropriate choice. The narrative of Jessica, Lisa, and Katie helping Amy pick up runaway cattle was another highly unexpected plot point in Heartland Season 18, Episode 9, and it ended up being one of my favorites of the episode. While Jack and Tim were fishing at the start of the episode, we watched Jessica in the kitchen making French toast for a gal's brunch. And when Katie attempted to leave the group that was eating with Jessica, Lisa, and Amy, Lisa convinced her to stay by mentioning that she hadn't seen Katie leave her room in a week. However, Amy interrupted their plans for breakfast by informing them that several cattle had escaped because a fence was down or a gate was open on their farm. Additionally, Jessica and Lisa offered to assist Amy in picking up Tim and Jack, bringing Katie along as well, as they had already departed for their trip. They had at least 15 missing, and it came out that a steer had broken a fence. They therefore came up with a plan. Amy would go grab the two who had crossed the highway, while Lisa, Jessica, and Katie would gather up the nearest escapees. The three of them collaborated well, bringing the nearby escaped animals back to the pen before searching for the handful that had gone missing. Additionally, when they found one of the missing steers tangled in barbed wire, Lisa's recent rope lessons with Jack and Jessica's recently gained roping abilities from her trip out west proved beneficial. While Jessica skillfully roped the steer's legs, Lisa took the lead in securing the steer's head. Katie was given the crucial responsibility of removing the barbed wire in the interim. Despite her initial anxiety, she was able to swiftly remove the steer from the wire, but not before inadvertently cutting her hand on the jagged wire. Her sense of inadequacy was exacerbated by the barbed wire injury, which made her question if she actually belonged at Heartland and her skills as a cowgirl. As Jessica and Lisa were repairing the fence after Katie had finished gathering up the remaining cattle, she confided in them about her fears. Katie was immediately reassured by the two older women, who clarified that being a cowgirl meant forging your own path, rather than conforming to a predetermined stereotype. Additionally, they encouraged Katie that she could have it all by sharing their experiences juggling a variety of passions with their love of ranch life. This sincere discussion seemed to demonstrate to Katie that she could reconcile her ranch heritage with her creative goals. It definitely seemed to click with Katie. Even if we don't yet know if the chat made her decide against moving to Vancouver, I anticipate we will find out in the season finale. Additionally, it was a lovely demonstration of the mutual support that Heartland women have for one another. Amy went out looking for the few steers who strayed farther from the ranch, while Jessica, Lisa, and Katie worked to pick up the closest escapees. And in the process, she happened upon a wounded horse confined to a rundown shed. The horse, who was eventually identified as Dodger, showed evidence of long-term neglect and had a serious wound on its neck. But when the owner of the property showed up at the shed brandishing a shotgun, Amy's attempts to step in were abruptly cut off, and she was forced to leave without assisting the horse. When Caleb returned to Heartland for a visit, Amy was extremely distressed by Dodger's predicament. Amy called the Humane Society, but they informed her that it would take at least a week before they could send someone to check on the horse. When she told Caleb about the experience, he recognized the name of the ranch and remembered its owner, Tommy, from his rodeo days. He offered to go back to the ranch with Amy, believing he could talk sense into Tommy's head and make sure Dodger got the care he required. Tensions rapidly increased when they went to Tommy's ranch because Caleb neglected to tell Amy about his troubled past with Tommy. During their time together on the rodeo circuit, Caleb had dated a woman Tommy had affections for. Tommy, who was obviously dealing with his own problems, reacted angrily to them and even swung at Caleb. Caleb claimed that Tommy needed support and assistance, not law enforcement, and vowed to give it to him. Amy recommended that they call the cops on Tommy. Amy labored to diagnose and treat Dodger's injuries while Caleb stood outside Tommy's door, remembering their shared rodeo history. Tommy finally realized how serious the situation was when Amy led the horse out of the shed following the first treatment. Tommy eventually opened up and disclosed that Dodger was his wife's horse as a result. Since she left him to move to the city with their kid, he has been having a hard time adjusting, which has included ignoring Dodger. Tommy agreed to let Amy and Caleb take Dodger back to Heartland for recuperation while he worked on getting back on his feet because he could relate to Caleb's sympathetic approach of discussing his own experiences of overcoming adversity and finding the strength to move forward for his son. Back at the ranch, Amy acknowledged Caleb's progress as a friend and father and complimented him on his empathy and understanding. In response, Caleb urged Amy to open up because he could tell she was carrying her own worries. She also opened up because Caleb is her best buddy. Amy acknowledged how devastated she was by Lindy's disappearance at the farmer's market. She also expressed her disappointment that Nathan hadn't put in more effort to defend their relationship after Caleb pressed her about it, despite the fact that she had proposed ending their developing romance because of the dispute. The two became closer and demonstrated their incredibly strong bond when Caleb, in turn, reminded Amy of her value and how much she deserved someone who would value and defend her. Is Amy's relationship with Caleb still possible? I'm not sure, to be honest. Since they are so close, Amy's opinion of Caleb seemed to change after he told her that she was worth fighting for. However, did it alter Amy's insistence that she has just platonic feelings for Caleb? Who knows? Even Amy, I doubt, is aware of that. However, I enjoyed hearing Caleb call Nathan a stupid for not standing up for Amy more. It gives me hope that there might still be a chance for Amy and Caleb in the future, which makes me a shipper of both of them. Let's wrap up by discussing Lou's storyline in this episode, which was the most dramatic of all since her seemingly routine journey became a terrifying one. That day, Lou was due to take a plane to Vancouver. However, she chose to take Stetson out for a ride in order to pass the time when her flight was delayed. She discovered an overturned water silo on Heartland's property when she was out. Lou went inside the coral, utterly oblivious to the danger that lurked around, determined to solve the problem. Lou and Stetson were startled when a bison suddenly approached them, frightening the horse and knocking Lou to the ground. She was knocked unconscious by the force of the fall, and the bison was still close by when she came to. Lou's hasty attempt to escape the danger exposed a more serious issue. Her phone was shattered in the fall, and her leg was badly hurt, making it impossible for her to get up and go. To make matters worse, she appeared to have lost her radio, leaving her utterly trapped. She was therefore left to crawl out of the pen and make an assessment. Lou took a risk after realizing how serious her condition was. She attempted to remount Stetson, while stabilizing her damaged leg with a tree in her belt. However, she was unable to mount the horse due to her injuries, so she was forced to send Stetson home by himself in the hopes that someone would notice her situation. Lou lay on the ground in the sun, hurt and alone, while Stetson, who had been reluctant to leave her at first, eventually raced away. When they were done rounding up the cattle, Lou was in and out of consciousness, indicating that she might also have suffered a significant head injury until she heard Lisa calling Amy on the radio. Lou became aware that her radio was in the bison pen nearby at that point. Lou attempted to crawl in its direction, but she was unable to do so due to the pain and fatigue she was experiencing. When Katie went to Lou's room to get a bandage for her broken hand back at the ranch, she saw that Lou's wallet and baggage were still there. Katie immediately became concerned about her mother's whereabouts. The grown-ups attempted to comfort Katie by assuring her that Lou was most likely fine, but they also recognized the seriousness of the situation after Katie was out of earshot. Thus, Lisa called Peter and remained at the ranch with Katie and Jessica in case Lou appeared, while Amy and Caleb went in search of Lou. Katie tried calling Lou on their walkie-talkies while she was pacing the house and realized that some of them were gone. Lou seemed to have enough strength to crawl to the gadget after hearing her daughter's voice on the radio. But before she passed out once more, Lou, in her confused state, was only able to tell Katie that she loved her and was proud of her daughter, which made everyone's concerns much greater. Lou may be anywhere on the land, so neither Amy nor Caleb were able to locate her. Fortunately, they discovered Stetson stumbling around by himself while they were out looking. They rushed after Stetson, who brought them back to Lou, once Amy realized that something had gone horribly wrong. Lou was discovered on the ground, clearly shocked and almost conscious, by Caleb and Amy. Additionally, Amy stayed with Lou, providing consolation and confidence, while Caleb rode off to ask for an ambulance as soon as possible because there was no phone coverage where Lou was. We were left wondering what would happen to Lou as the episode came to a close, with her fading in and out of consciousness while Amy tried in vain to keep her awake. The season's second-to-last episode ends on a cliffhanger, don't you think?